Okay, so today's topic is loops and conditional statements. So what are basically loops and conditional statements? Loops are basically a statement that we give to a Python to iterate over a value. Okay, so what basically loops do is, a loop is a sequence of instruction that is repeated until a certain condition is reached. Okay, you will give a condition to a loop statement and it will be iterating itself until the condition is satisfied or until the condition is false. So that was just the definition of a loop. Next thing we are going to see are the conditional statements, and what basically conditional statement means is, it is just like an expression. It can be either true or it can be either false, and based on the outcome of your expression or based on the condition of your expression, you are going to evaluate a certain operation. Okay, so before we jump into conditional statements, we would see some of the operators. So now what basically operators are? Operators are used to perform a certain operation on variables. Okay, so there are different types of operators in Python or in algebra, or we can say in any other programming languages, which are arithmetic operators, which do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus sign, exponential, or even integer division. Okay, so these are basically arithmetic operators. If you have mathematical variables or even strings, you can do addition, subtraction, division, all the operations on it. Next type of operators we have are assignment operators. So now basically what assignment operator does is, it will take a particular value and it will assign it to your variable. Like we saw equal to sign, right? If we want to assign a particular value to our variable, we use equal to sign. So now plus equal to, minus equal to, and star equal to, what are these assignment operators? So what these will do is, it will do, suppose I write a plus is equal to 10. So it will do is a is equal to a plus 10. So basically this will take the variable itself and add the given value to it. We'll see example in short time. Just know that these are assignment operators. Next we have comparison operators. Comparison operators compare the two given values. These are equal to operators, not equal to operator, greater than, less than, greater than equal to, or less than equal to. Fine, we have been doing comparisons from our childhood, that if two quantities are equal, if one quantity is greater than other, if one quantity is not equal to other. So these are basically used for comparison purposes. And then a final operator is called logical operator. So what basically logical operator is? Logical operator will do ANDing, ORing, or NOT. So what AND or NOT is? So it is basically that if the two, between the two statements, what is the status of the expression? If one statement is true and other statement is false, if both the statements are true, if both the statements are false. So basically that result can be found out using the logical operators. Okay, we'll be seeing the examples in a while, but let's consider all these operators as a part of Python. All right, so let's jump into our console and see. Okay, so this is my console as usual. If I hit Python, and now let's see each operator one by one. Okay, so as we know x equal to 10, if I do, this is assignment operator. Okay, so next thing we saw is the plus equal to sign. So if I do x plus equal to 20, so now what it will do is, it will take x, the existing value of x, and add 20 to it. It's not going to assign directly 20 to x, it will take the existing value of x and add 20 to it. So if I hit enter and if I do print x, I might see not 20 but 30. So this is equal to, so if I did x equal to 10 again, so this line over here is equal to x equal to x plus 10. So instead of writing x equal to x plus 10, there is a shorthand operator called plus equal to. Okay, so if I do print x again, I should be getting 20. Okay, so this is how plus equal to operator works. In similar conditions, the minus equal to operator also works. If I do x minus equal to 10, so what this will do is, it will do x equal to x minus 10. So whatever the existing value of x, suppose that is 20, that will be subtracted from x itself. So if I hit enter and now I do print x, I shall get 10 again. Okay, because now the value was x was incremented by 10, and here we did minus equal to 10, so x was decremented by 10 itself. All right, So this is how this assignment operators works. It will take the existing value and add the given value to itself, or subtract the given value from itself. Okay, that was clear. So next thing we saw was comparison operators. Okay, and by now we saw comparison operators a lot of time. We saw it using the Boolean expressions, right? Like if we do 9 greater than 10, and this is going to give me false, because this is an expression which is false. So this is how basically comparison operators work. So it will compare the given value, and the resulting value will be a Boolean expression or a Boolean value, that is true or false. Similarly, if I do 10 not equal to, this is the symbol for not equal to, this is the symbol for equal to, and this is the symbol for not equal to. If I only do one equal to sign, then it's going to be assignment operator right here. Don't confuse between assignment operator and equal to operator. Equal to operator is double equals. Okay, so if I, and this is for not equal to, if I do 10 not equal to 20, this is going to give me true, because 10 is not equal to 20. So these are basically the comparison operators, or we can say yes, the comparison operator. Fine. So basically this was just a quick overview of the operators. We'll be seeing and or not later on. Okay, so next thing you might be knowing, you might be wondering that how can we take input from the user? Yeah, because that is a very important thing, right? How can a user input something into my program and I'll be processing it, or I can store it inside a value? Because what basically is happening till now is we are assigning the variables on our own, but we don't want this thing anymore. We want the user, or we want the third person to enter something into our code, and for that we can use this function called input. Okay, the function given by Python for taking input from the user is called input itself. So what I'll do is I'll do, suppose, a variable called y equal to input. So what is happening now? I am telling Python that I want the input that is taken from the user to be stored inside the variable called y. So now y has no value as such. When the user will enter a particular value, it will be stored inside y. So when, if I hit enter, and if I now enter something value, say 40, okay, so now when I enter 40, this 40 will be stored inside my y. Okay, and now if we do print y, this is gonna give me 40, because now if when I enter 40, it is automatically been stored inside the variable called y. And the next thing you should know that we can also pass messages. So if I take a variable called z equal to input, and if I want to know the user that now it's the time for you to enter a value, so I can say enter the value of z. Okay, so what I did is, whenever I want to take an input, I gave a message to the user that please enter the value of z, and when I hit enter, I'll get the message enter the value of z. Now I know I need to enter a value, so say I'll enter 15. So now z will contain the value 15. Alright, so basically this is how inputs are taken. And next thing you need to know is that the input will always be of the form string, which can be later converted by using type conversion. Okay, so basically what's happening over here is, even if I am entering an integer value that is 40, and suppose if I do type of z, this is going to give me string. So now why is this a case? Even if I assign value 15, that is an integer, to my variable called z, it's showing me the type of z is a string, because the input function by default takes all the values as string. Okay, so now if I have to change this string into integer called 15, the only thing I need to do is z equal to int z. Now what happened, the existing value of z was a string type, we changed it to integer and again assigned it to z. Now if I do print z, I'll get 15, but if I do print type of z, this is going to be integer. Fine. So the thing you need to know is that string, the input can be taken by using the function called input, and the input will always be of the form of a string, and you can later convert it in whichever form you need it. Alright, so all the operators and how we can take input is clear to everyone. Is it clear? Okay, so let's start with our main topic, that is condition statements. Okay, so first thing is if else statement. Okay, so a lot of you might be familiar with what if else statement is, because if you have any programming knowledge, if else statements are basically have the same concept across whole programming. Okay, what basically if else statement does is these statements just evaluate the condition or expression that we pass inside them. It takes an expression, and if it evaluates to be true, if the given statement or if a given expression is true, then a certain operation is carried out, and if it is false, then another operation is carried out. Okay, so the primary condition is mentioned inside the if statement, and the secondary condition is either mentioned inside the else part or in the continued code. So it is not necessary every time to give the else part. You can just give your condition inside the if statement, and if that condition is true or if that condition evaluates to be true, then the statement will be carried out. If not, the regular code will be continued. Okay, so if there are more than one expression to be evaluated, then there are combined using logical operators. So we'll be seeing example of this very soon, that if you have one or more expression, they can be combined using logical operators, and we saw what logical operators are. It is and, or not. Okay, so and another thing is if there are more than one condition, then it can be done using elif statement. What elif statement is? It is basically else if. So if condition is false, then you check else if, and if else if is false, then you check the else statement. All right, so let's see example of if else statement. Okay, my voice is breaking. Is it clear? Okay, so for the part of if else statement, I'll not be using my command line. So let's jump into my text editor and we'll see it over here. Okay, so why basically I'm doing text editor is because we are now moving from single line commands to multi-line commands. Okay, so if else statement is not a single line, we have to write multiple lines of code for if else statement. Okay, so let's take a quick example. If I have a variable called a equal to 10, and if I have another variable called b equal to 20. So now what I have to check? I have to check that which of the following is greater. I'll say if a is greater than b, fine. Okay, so this is my code for if else statement, checking which of the following value is greater. Well, first thing you need to know is that we will never have a opening curly bracket and closing curly bracket for if statements like we have in C++ or Java, because right from the first slide, where was the first slide? Okay, right in the first lecture we saw that Python relies on indentation, which uses white spaces to define the scope. We will never use curly brackets for this purpose. Okay, even in the first lecture we saw that, and this is a clear example that we are not using the curly braces for this. So now how can we define a scope? A scope means that what are the statements that should come under the if statements and what are the statements that should come under the else statement. All right, so this scope is defined by indentation. So now what basically indentation means? It means giving tabs or the giving white spaces inside your code. All right, so you saw here I wrote my print statement a tab ahead of the if statement. I wrote my this print statement a tab ahead of my else statement. So if I write it this here or if I write this here, what basically Python will do, it's going to give me an error saying that your code is not indented. So let's give it a try. If I go into my terminal and if I say Python lecture4.py, I am going to, okay, why is this the thing? We not stored, oh sorry, we not saved the file. Okay, so if I save it now and if I run it, So this is going to give me an error saying indentation error, expected a indented block. So what is it expecting? It is expecting us to give indentation because we have written if else statement. We need to define the scope for if statement, we need to define the scope for else statement. So what happens when I give a tab over here, and when I give a tab over here, basically I am telling the Python interpreter that yes, this print is under this statement, this print is under this statement. This is like hierarchy. So how hierarchy work is like this statement is inside this statement. If I have another statement called print indented block, alright. So what's happening is now both these statements are inside this if line, and only this statement is inside this thing. And now if I want to close the scope of this else part, what I'll do is I'll not write it inside this indentation. I'll just go back, and if I print, I'll say not a part of if else. Okay, so this print statement is not a part of this block. Why? Because it is not indented, it is inside the regular indentation block, that is from the first line. Okay, now if I run this, if I save this and run again, you will see here that b is greater. Okay, now why b is greater is printed? Because we can see a b is of course greater, so this part is completely eliminated. Why is this part completely eliminated? Because this says if and if only a is greater than b, then execute this part. Okay, if a is greater than b, then execute this part, else execute this part. And now what happened? We saw that print b is greater, so now we had output as b is greater. And next thing we saw here is that not a part of if else. So this print statement will be executed anytime because this is not a part of else if else statement. It is not indented inside any of the block. Alright, so I hope indentation is clear. And how do we tell the Python that an indentation block is to be started? So it is told by this colon over here. You saw I gave a colon over here because that I want to tell Python, yes, after this colon my indentation block is going to start. Okay, if suppose if I don't give a colon over here, suppose even if I don't give a colon over here, so what will happen now? If I save my code and if I run it again, okay, so what's happening over here is we got a error saying invalid syntax. Now why is this invalid syntax? Because there is no indentation block over here. And see, my text editor automatically took this tabs out of our statements. Why did we took tabs out of our statement? Because we did not define our indentation block to start. We want to tell the Python that yes, after this colon we are going to start a block of if statement. Okay, so now if I give tabs again, and here also I need to mention a colon. Colon means start of a block. Okay, and if I give tab again, this will be, now suppose if we change the value of a to 30 just for now. Okay, and if we run our again, okay, so now what we saw is now we got the output as a is greater, and again we saw indented block. Now why a is greater than indented block? Because now this block is been executed and this block is eliminated. Why? Because a was greater, our condition was satisfied, hence this block got executed and this block is eliminated. And again, this is not a part of if else, so this will be executed every time we run the program. Alright, so this was the basic concept of indentation and basic concept of if else. Is it clear to everyone? Okay, so I hope everyone can able to see the screen itself. Do I have to increase the font or something in my text editor? Okay, all right. The next thing we need to see is that, okay, we were seeing if else statement, right? So we saw that this statement will take a condition and evaluate it if it evaluates to be true. So now what's happening over here, if we go to a command line and if we take the same thing like a equal to 20 and say b equal to 30, and if I just do a greater than b, this is going to give me false, right? So basically a greater than b is a expression. A greater than b is an expression that gives out a boolean value. Fine. If we do b greater than a, this is also an expression and it is giving out a boolean value. So what if else statement does is, if this thing results into true value, okay, if these things result into true value, then and then only this is going to be executed, else this part will be executed. Fine. So what basically is happening is we are evaluating this expression, and if it evaluates to be true, alright, then this will be executed. If not, then this is executed. It is that simple. That's why we studied boolean first. Basically this is just a boolean expression and it gives out true or false. Alright. Next thing we saw that primary condition is mentioned inside the if statement. That is okay. If there are more than one expression to be evaluated, they are combined with logical operators. Okay, let's see an example for logical operators. Okay, suppose I have another variable called c equal to 10. Okay, what I have to do right now is that I want to check if a is greater than b and if a is greater than c also. I want to check if a is greater than b and if a is greater than c. What I'll do is, if a greater than b and a greater than c, then print a is greatest. Okay, so now what will happen, it will check if a is greater than b also, and means that both the conditions should be true. Okay, if both the conditions are true, then and then only this will be executed. Else, or even if we don't give else, it's not an issue. If a is greater than b and a is greater than c, then we can say that a is greatest. Okay, let's try to run this thing. Okay, we have the output saying that a is greatest. So this is how logical operators work. Suppose we need to check for b. Okay, so if I say if b is greater than a and means both the conditions should be true, and b is greater than c, what you will do, then print b is greatest. Fine. So what's happening over here, it will check if b is greater than a and b is greater than c. Obviously b is greater than c means this statement is true, b is greater than c, but b is not greater than a, therefore even if any of the expression is false, this will not be executed. So we'll need a else statement, else print b is not greatest, sorry, inside quotes. Okay, so if I save this and run now, I am going to get b is not greatest. Why is this happening? So logic is very clear. We have used AND operator. What AND operator basically does is, if all the mentioned conditions are true, then and then only we can say that this will be executed and this whole statement turns out to be true, else b is not the greatest. Another thing we saw was the OR operator. Okay, what OR operator does is that even if any one condition is true, this will be printed out. Even if any one condition is true, say b is not greater than a but b is greater than c, yeah, b is greater than obviously c. So using the OR operator we can say that if any one condition is true, then obviously this is going to be executed. So we'll just change it and we'll say, yeah, b is greater, and we will not say b is greatest. So if we now save this and run this thing, we get the output saying b is greater. Now why is b is greater? Because even if b is not greater than A, this condition is false, but we have used OR operator, and in OR operator, if any one condition is true, any one condition out of the given condition is true, we are going to get our output. Alright, so this is how basically logical operators work. AND means that all the conditions should be true, and OR means any one condition should be true. Then and then only your block will be executed. So this is how basically logical operators work. Okay, so I hope everything is clear. Okay, you're asking, can we run if else condition on CMD? Yeah, obviously you can run if else condition on CMD. Let's try an example on it. Let's see an if else condition on CMD itself. Let's say A equal to 10 and let's say B equal to 20, and if I want to check if A greater than B, again the same thing, I need to start an indentation block, right? Now if I say if A is greater than 20, I'll give a colon, because saying that I need to start an indentation block. If I hit enter, this will not be executed. See, the console knows that something is going to come right after this if statement, but now I have to give a tab. After I give a tab, I'll say print A is greater, okay, else again a colon specifying that there is a tab or there is a block coming next, and now print B. Okay, so this is how basically you do inside the console. What you do is you just write your statement, give a colon, the colon specifies the start of an indentation block, then you give tab, and then you write whichever command you need to write. Then you give a statement, again you give a colon, colon specifies the start of an indentation block, and the Python interpreter will not run the command because it's going to know due to this indentation block that something is coming up. Alright, so after I am done typing, I'll hit enter, and I'll hit enter again because now I am done with my logic. Okay, if I hit enter, I'll get B is greater because obviously B was greater, so else statement got executed. Alright, is it clear in command line how you can do it? Yeah, tab is compulsory. Tab specifies the indentation, right? I showed you an example where tab were not given and we ran into syntax error. Okay. Okay, so that was of course basically all you need to know about if else statement, and there is this last statement saying if there are more than one condition that needs to be checked, we can use elif. So now what basically elif is, let's say an example of elif. Okay, this is fine, I'll just take it out. So again we have three variables called a, b, c that has the value 10, 20 and 30. Okay, if I have a statement called if a is greater than, sorry, let's see, if c is greater than a, I'll say print c greater than a. Okay, if I have another statement that needs to check that if c is greater than b, if I want to check if this fails, I need to check another statement, that is if, or I'll say elif. Why elif? Because if this condition fails, then and then only I need to execute this. If I directly write if over here, once this condition is done checking, it will check this condition at any cost. Even if this was true and this is been printed, it's going to take the if statement, but I don't want that. I want to check this statement if and if only this statement fails. So if this statement fails, I am going to write elif c greater than b, print c greater than b. Alright, so now if all these conditions fail, okay, so what I'll just do is I'll just say else print c is, okay. So what basically is happening over here, first we are checking that if c is greater than a, if this condition fails, then it is going to check for this condition elif. Elif means else if, else the above, if the above condition fails, then and then only check this condition. Okay, elif means else if C is greater than B, then what you need to do is you need to print this statement. And if both or all the above condition fails, then you need to execute the else part. Okay, is it clear? So if I run this code now, I should get that C is not greater. Okay, so let's make C greater. Let's make C 25. Okay, so now what will happen now? Now this first condition will fail, C is greater than A. Then this condition will be checked if C is greater than B or not. And then if this is false, then the last condition will be checked. So I think the output is pretty clear right now. So if I hit enter, I will get C is greater than B. So why C is greater than B? Because this condition failed, but this condition got satisfied. Therefore, the next condition is not executed. Okay, so this is how elif work. If you need to check multiple conditions, you put elif. Okay, so is it clear by now? All the conditional statements, else, if else, elif, is it clear to everyone? Okay, so that's basically all you need to know about the else if statements or the conditional statements in Python. Basically, these are only the three conditional statements, that is if else and elif. So these three conditional statements are used to check, and we only saw the examples including the numbers. You can try it yourself including strings. You can try using including float numbers or even complex numbers. Okay, so basically you can check different type of data types inside these statements. So I'll leave it up to you guys to try this out. Okay, so let's just comment this whole thing and jump into, okay, let's jump into the loops. Okay, so next thing we are going to see is the loops. So what basically loops are? A loop is a sequence of instruction that is repeated until a certain condition is reached. Loops are essential for reducing the code and making iterations. So now what are iterations? Iterations are steps, we can say. So suppose I have an example where I want to add 10 numbers. What basically I'll do is I'll do 1 plus 2, then that addition plus 3, then that addition plus 4, and so on. So what basically I am doing is I am iterating through each number, like 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. This is iteration. Okay, so how we can iterate over a list, or how we can iterate over a given condition? So basically that is done using loops. Okay, so loop is just a sequence of instructions that keep repeating itself until a certain condition is reached. In Python we have two types of loops, that is a while loop and a for loop. Let's see each. Okay, so what is a while loop? A while loop takes a condition as a parameter and it is executed as long as the condition is true or the loop is broken. Okay, so you give a condition to a while loop. Say I'll give a condition that keep running until my value is not reached a certain limit, or keep running until my variable is not 0. Okay, so this is what you give a condition as a parameter. So let's see an example for while loop, or actually in the code editor itself. Okay, so let's write a while loop, and for while loop we need a condition first, and for conditions we'll need some variables. Okay, so if I have a variable called x equal to 10, and I want to run a loop until x is not 0. Okay, initial value of x is 10 and I want to run a loop saying that run until x is not 0. Okay, so I'll say while x is not equal to 0. What I did here is I gave an expression, that is while x is not 0, print x and then x equal to x minus 1. What I did over here is I decremented the value of x every time this loop is running. Okay, so while x is not equal to 0, we'll be getting the value of x, and once x reaches the value 0, this loop will end its execution. Alright, so I hope this is pretty clear and simple syntax. We defined x as 10 and we tell that while x is not equal to 0, and then we start a block. See, this colon indicates a starting of a block, right? So we started a block saying this block will be executed all the time when this condition is true. Okay, so let's try to run this thing. I'll save the code and okay, I'll run it. Okay, so now we can see the output clearly over here. The value of x was 10. The value got checked. Okay, while now x not equal to 0, the value evaluates to be true. Why is it true? Because x is not equal to 0. So what is happening is the value of x is getting printed. That is, value of x was 10, it got printed. Next thing happening right now is that I am decrementing the existing value of x by 1. Now after 10, when I decrement the value of x, it became 9. So obviously 9 is not equal to 0. Again it got printed, again it got decremented. Now the value got 8. So 8 is not equal to 0, it got printed, it got decremented. Again the condition is checked. So while doing this thing, every time we decrement the value of x, and once the value of x reaches 1, alright, once the value of x reaches 1, that is, we printed 1, and now I do 1 equal to 1 minus 1, that sorry, x equal to 1 minus 1, now x got 0. Okay, now the value stored inside x is 0 and this condition got false, because 0 is not equal to 0, 0 is equal 0, right? So when this condition is false, this loop has ended. So what basically while loop does is it will take a value, okay, it will take a value, then we write an expression over it. What expression did we wrote? We wrote that if x is not equal to 0, print x, and then decrement the value of x. So basically this is how a while loop works. Okay, let's see another example. I'll just comment. Okay, let's see another example for while loop. If I say, suppose x equal to 0, okay, and I want to print the values till 10, 1 to 10, okay, or say 0 to 10. What I'll do, while x is greater than 10, print x and increment it. So now what basically this operator does, we saw that this operator is equal to x plus 1. So in short, we can write x plus equal to 1. Alright, so what is happening right now? Initially the value of x was 0. We ran a while loop. This while loop checks the condition if x is greater than 0, sorry, x should be less than 0, less than 10. Alright, so if x is less than 10, this block will be executed. Alright, so x is basically less than 10. So let's run this loop. See, okay, sorry, I didn't save my code. This is basically what happens when you don't save your code, you just get the existing output. Okay, so make sure you save your code every time you write inside a code editor. This is not a console, this is a code editor or text editor, so you need to save every time. Okay, so let's run it again. Okay, so now you can see we have printed all the values of x that are less than 10. So the values which are less than 10 have been printed out. So this is how basically a while loop works. It takes a condition and it will run the block as long as this condition is true. Once this condition gets false, this execution will stop. And you can see this output is only up to 9, because 9 is the number which is less than 10. Even 10 is not less than 10. For that you can use the operator called less than equal to. What less than equal to will do is it will check it should be either less or equal to 10 but not greater than 10. So now if I save this and now if I run it again, I am going to see my output until 10. Okay, so basically the output of while loop depends upon what conditions you are providing inside this parenthesis, or what condition or what expression you are giving as an argument. Okay, So this is how basically a while loop works. Is it clear, while loop, to everyone? Okay, so you're asking, tell us on command line. Basically, it is same. The things I am doing on text editor are just same as that on command line. You just have to do proper indentation and it will basically work. Okay, so I don't think it's really that hard. You can try it yourself. Alright, so that was all about the while loop. Let's jump into for loop. So for loops are just advanced version of while loops. They are basically same, but a for loop is used for iterating over a sequence, that is either a range, a list, a tuple, or a dictionary, or set, or a string. We saw all these things yesterday, right? A list, tuple, dictionary, set. So we can iterate over these things using a for loop. The execution of for loop is same as the while loop, but instead of condition, here a range is specified. Okay, this thing is very important. The difference between while loop and a for loop is that a while loop takes a condition, that is an expression, as a parameter, but a for loop will always take a range. And what is a range? It can either be length of your string, it can either be a range of numbers that we saw yesterday. All right, so let's see how we can write a for loop. The another thing you need to know is that by default the range of a function starts with 0 and the default increment is by 1. Okay, so what does we mean by this? Let's see. Comment this out. Okay, so let's write a for loop, but before writing a for loop we'll need something, a range. Okay, so if I have to write for a iterating variable, that is, let's have iterating variable as I, for I in range, and I'll specify a range over here. Suppose I say range is equal to 10. For I in 10, print I. Right, if I save my code and let's see what will be the output of this code. Okay, it is again 0 to 9. So I told you yesterday, right, the range variable will always exclude the upper limit, and we didn't give two ranges over here because I said that range variable will take the default starting point as 0. Okay, so I don't have to basically write here 0 to 10. So this is how we basically write a range, but range function will automatically take the first value as 0. If I have to write if I have to print out the number starting from 5, so what I'll do is from 5 to 10 print all the values of I. Okay, so let's run this code. Okay, again I didn't save it. Okay, so now if I run the command, I'll be getting invalid syntax. Okay, so colon is not the thing, we need to give commas. Alright, so make sure you don't give colon in between, you give comma. So what comma specifies is the starting point and ending point of your range function. So range function will take a starting point, a ending point, and it will print all the values between those points. And see, again 10 is excluded, we got the output till 9. Okay, fine. So if I have to print out value till 10, I'll write just 11, and if I save again and write it, hit enter, I'll get the values from 5 to 10. Okay, so this is how basically range function work, and a for loop will always take range as a parameter. It will not take a condition like a while loop. Okay, it will take a range. Now next thing we saw that the default increment of a for loop or a default increment of a range function is always 1. Alright, so 5 plus 1 6 plus 1 7 plus 1 8. But what if I don't want this default increment? I want my loop to iterate every 3 values or every 4 values. So that can also be given as the third parameter, that is 3. And if we increase the range as 5, 15 or even 20. So what is happening over here is between the range 5 to 20, print I with a iteration of 3. So every third variable will be printed, or every third value will be printed, not every next value. Okay, so if I save this code and run my loop again, see 5 plus 3 8 plus 3 11 plus 3 14 plus 3 17, and plus 3 was 20, but 20 is the upper limit, so it is excluded. Alright, so basically this is how incrementation works. You can either give your own incremented value, or you can have the default incrementation, that is 1. Okay, so is for loop clear? This is basic for loop, that is for iterating variable I. In is a keyword. For I in range 5 to 20 with iteration 3, print I. So this syntax is as simple as it can be readed. Okay, so if you can read this, you will basically just know what this is doing. For I in the range 5 to 20, just print I with iteration of 3. Okay, is it clear everyone how basic for loop works? Okay, so you guys now know that why we were saying that Python is the most readable language. If you can read Python, you can read English. If you can read English, you can read Python. So it is that simple. In C++, we have to write a very complex, what we can say, a very complex saying for int I equal to 0, I less than something, then I plus plus. Okay, so now this syntax was a bit complicated to read. Okay, for int I equal to 0, I less than an I plus plus. But what Python does for you is it will just take for I in the range, you give a range, and it will just print it out. You don't have to have any complex syntax for loops. Okay, next thing a for loop can do is it can just iterate over a syntax. It can iterate over a sequence. So let's create a sequence. Let's have a list, and with square brackets we'll create a list. Okay, so this is my list, and I want to iterate over this list. That I want, okay, I want all the variables or all the values that are stored inside this list. So how I can iterate over this list is I want to say for, we need an iterating variable, that is say I, or let's say x. For x in list 1, where we want to iterate over list 1. So for x in list 1, print x. Alright guys, it's that simple. Just we want to say for every x in this list called list 1, print the x, or print the value that is stored inside this variable. Okay, so I'll just save it, and if I run this command now, I should be getting 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So now why is this case? Because now for every element that is present inside this list, we have run a for loop, and what we did, we'll just print. Not only print, we can do x equal to x plus 10. So now this is an operation. What we did is for every element inside the list, we incremented it by 10. So now what will be the output of this thing? Okay, this will not just work right now because we have to print our list also. If we do print list 1 now, so our output should be that every element is been incremented by 10. So if we say, alright, okay, didn't it work or what? I don't know why it's not working. Okay, so I got the point. Why was that not happening? If we do x equal to x plus 10, basically we are just incrementing the value of x here. It's not been stored inside the list. We are not changing the value of list right now. So for that, what we need to do is we need to tell that not only just increment the value, but also store it inside our list. So how we can do that is, let's write another for loop. Okay, and now what this for loop will do is it will not access the elements, it will access the index. Okay, so how we can actually access the index? So we'll say for x in range, just see the syntax, okay? For x in range, length of list1 of x plus equal to 10. And now if we do print list1, and I'll just run it and then explain the code. Okay guys, so you can see first our list was 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and now it got 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So now what's happening over here is that we are telling a Python that for every x, now the x is not inside the list, the x is in the range of length of list of 1. So now what is the length of list? That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5 is the length of list. So now this is basically acting as for x in range 0 to 5. Okay, this statement is basically acting as for x in range 0 to 5. Now where did 5 come from? 5 came from length of list1. Okay, and now what we are doing is we are accessing each element inside the list using the indexing. We saw indexing yesterday, right? So list1 of x will give me all the elements that are present inside the list. So initially x will be 0, then x will be 1, then x will be 2, and the list element will be accessed using this for loop. Okay, this was that simple. Previously we were just accessing these elements, but we were not changing actually the list. But now we are accessing the indexes and telling that change the list itself by 10. Okay, so this is how basically for loop works over a list. Let's see how for loop works over a string. Okay, so we saw that string are nothing more than just arrays. Okay, so if I'll have a string called name equal to, and I'll give it Python. Okay, so now I have a string called name Python, and what I'll do is I want to iterate over this name and have to check each and every letter that is present inside name. So same thing I'll do for, I'll have a iterating variable x in name print x. So now what this will do is this x will iterate over each and every value or each and every letter that is stored inside the name. Okay, and if we do it again, then I should get Python. Same thing we can do indexing. And how we can do basically indexing in a for loop is that now x should not be inside the name, but x should be in the range of length of name. When I say x is in range of length of name, basically now x is not these letters, x is the index of these letters. So now if I now hit enter, I will not get Python. What I'll get is I'll get indexes. Getting everyone? Now x is not these letters, x are the indexes that is in the range of the length of the name. Now if I want to print Python, I'll use indexing on name. So this is the syntax of indexing, right? What I did is print name of x. So this was that simple. You can either do directly for x in name, or if you want to go index by index, what you can do is you can do for x in range of length of name, and this will give you the value. If I hit, I need to save it first. Okay, now if we hit enter, we are going to get Python. Okay, so the difference between while loop and for loop is basically now clear to everyone. While loop will take a condition, but for loop will take a range or a sequence. This was a sequence. Initially we saw list was a sequence. Okay, so this is how for loop basically works. So is it clear to everyone? For loops, while loops. Okay, so we only saw the basic examples of for loop and while loop, but there is much more you can do with these things, but this was just the basic. All you need to know is that a while loop will always take a condition, and condition can be made using the comparison operators. Okay, that is the reason first of all we saw the operators. Okay, the first thing the while loop will take a condition, and condition can be given using comparison operators. That is, if your variable is greater than x, if your variable is greater than 10, if it is greater than 100, then and then your loop should run. Okay, so the difference, the another thing we saw was for loops, and how for loops basically work. It will take a range, and we saw about the if else statement. If else statement takes a condition, and if the condition is true, then the certain operation is carried out, and if it's false, then another operation is carried out. But we only saw how we can use logical operators, that is and or and not. So and will be executed only if all the conditions are true, or will be executed if any one condition is true. Alright, we saw assignment operators, we saw arithmetic operators we are seeing, and we also saw how we can take input from a user. Okay, so you can write a pretty simple code by taking input from a user, that please enter two numbers. Okay, a user will be entering two numbers, and you have to check if the number A is greater or number B is greater. Alright, yeah, every operation is same for run on text and editor on CMD. Yeah, it is the same. Okay, so basically you can take this as your first simple assignment. What you can do is you can create a program that will accept two numbers from the user, and you can compare those two numbers. Okay, how you can take the numbers from the user? Just use the input function, input, and give in brackets saying enter the first number. So user will input the first number. If we say input second number, user will input second number. Then in your code run a for loop taking those two numbers and giving out the output, that which number is greater, if the first number is greater or if the second number is greater. That will be a very good practice for using else if statements. Alright, and the operators will also be cleared, and the input statement will also be cleared. Okay, so you can take this as a small assignment for if else statement. Another thing you can do is that for a while loop or for a for loop. Okay, so this can be your second assignment. What you need to do is take a list. Alright, take a list with, say, suppose 5 elements or 6 elements, and iterate over your list. Change your list to, say, increment every element by 5%. Alright, so when you do every element by 5%, your practice for arithmetic operators will also come into picture. Alright, so how you can practice arithmetic operators? Take a list, say list of 10 numbers, increment each and every value of your list by 5%. Then what you can do is you can have the average of whatever the elements of your list. So how we take average? We just sum all the elements and divide it by total number of elements, right? So basically these are the two assignments for today, and I hope everyone completes it. First assignment is take input from two numbers from user, compare them and tell them output that which number is greater. And second assignment is for loop basically. So what for loop does is take a list, create a list on your own, or even you can ask user to create a list by using input function. So what you do, take a list, run a for loop on the list, increment every element of the list by 5%, and you for that use the arithmetic operators, then sum all these numbers and take average. So what is happening over here is you get practice of all the operators, you get practice of input function, you get practice of if else function, and also you get practice for loop. That is the main loop we have for iteration. Alright, are the both assignments clear to everyone? Is there any doubt? Okay, so we'll be stopping over here for today, but this was a very quick and fast introduction for if else statements and the loops. But I hope everyone does the given assignment by tomorrow, and if you have any errors or if you have any doubt, just put it on the groups and we'll be solving it. Do as much as practice for the loops and conditional statements, because they are very important. Alright guys, I'll see you in tomorrow's class. Bye.